Are you sure you want to do this? I give you 15 minutes. I used to work for a rainforest-named company several years ago that primarily focused on shipping and delivering packages and orders from their customers online. Specifically, I worked at one of the distribution warehouses that was the last stop for packages that were to be loaded into those blue vans that bring your new stuff to your front door. Big trucks would unload packages throughout the night to be sorted and prepped by the workers. And then the full bags of packages would be loaded onto vans in the morning to be delivered by the drivers to houses. This system repeated every day with only 2, sometimes 3 shifts of workers. And as luck would have it, I was happily placed on night shift. The work was simple, if not exhausting, and being at night meant we didn't have to worry about the heat as much as day shift. I won't go too deep into detail about how every job worked, but I'll try to give enough detail to help give you a good idea of what happened. After the usual new hire period, where I was just trying to find my groove and get used to the hustle and bustle of the warehouse, I found myself assigned to one of the nightly jobs that was unanimously described as the most difficult job there. And honestly, I completely agree with that. The packages would be unloaded from the trucks onto the conveyor belt and need to be pushed to one side of it or the other, depending on which side of the building they would need to be going to. The packages would have a sticker with a letter, AZ, followed by other indicators for where it would go later. The letter determining which aisle it was supposed to be in, and in turn, which half of the building it would need to be on based on where that aisle was compared to the belt. With me so far? Good. Because if standing beside the belt pushing and pulling boxes and paper packages for several hours based on a letter sounds like an easy job, congrats. You would be placed across from me to get your brain melted by the pace we had to work at. Imagine, if you will, a rhythm-based video game set to a high difficulty, and then replace the buttons or notes with packages of different sizes. That would be a fairly close representation of what you would be staring at for not a few minutes, but several hours. Things would get so overwhelming that some workers would give up halfway through the night after getting too dizzy from having the rollers of the belt spinning in their vision for too long. The nights were even harder when the holidays came around and the belt would be absolutely packed with boxes falling off the side on the regular. But then you would look up across the belt, weary from the never-ending monsoon of labels and letters, and see me, listening to my nearby music and moving packages around like I had 2 extra arms and was some kind of splitting god. I will admit it did take a while to get used to the flow when I first started, and it did put a bit of strain on the eyes. But I would honestly just shut my brain off and let my eyes become unfocused as I just autopiloted the job like a madman. No one ever did better than me at this job during my time there. That's not my words. That was everyone who ever tried to replace me from that spot. Like when our unwitting antagonist of this story finally enters, a manager from day shift that we'll call Sam. Occasionally, managers would switch around from the different shifts to make sure they all knew how the place functioned properly. Cool, no problem. I got in for my shift on the night Sam was to manage our shift for once. I gave the usual hellos and ironic good mornings to everyone preparing for the night shift and went up to the job board. Everyone got assigned with a little name badge next to the job they would do that night as they came in. And since I was usually one of the first ones there, I would just say hi to the night manager as I moved my own name to the splitter position, as we both knew that it was my spot. This night, however, I went through those same motions, said hi to Sam, placed my tag on splitter, and went to go prepare the split zone for my day. A few minutes later, I get called over to the job board. Sam, so hey, I wanted to let you know that I moved you to section A for the night. Go ahead and get a scanner set up and head on over. Me, confused. But what about the splitting? Sam, don't worry, we'll have it covered. We just need you over in A. I had already set up my place at the split zone so I could handle it at my best. And he was already moving some stuff away so he could do whatever he was doing for the night. It was basically just a couple of package racks for damaged stuff I pull off the belt, as well as a place for my small speaker. I was a bit confused as the package count was higher than average that night, and a good splitter really takes a load off of a lot of other jobs down the line. Me, serious face. Are you sure you want to do this? Sam, confused. Do what? Me. Are you sure you don't want me up here? It's supposed to get pretty busy tonight. Sam, waving me off. We'll be fine. If it gets too busy, one of us managers can jump in to help. When he said that, I actually chortled aloud briefly and shook my head. I had seen the managers split before, and none of them would last the whole night if they had to do it. Very few could, and I was unrivaled at the job, so I knew what was about to happen. The first trucks had already pulled in, and they looked pretty beefy to start with. I did some rough estimation. Me, all right, I'll give you 15 minutes. Sam, huh? 15 minutes? Me, yep, gotta go get a scanner now. Not much time before that belt starts, and I have to get ready again. He had actually seemed confused as I walked off to get ready for my new job. I was a little bummed, in all honesty. Splitting was my favorite job, with how I could just shut off for a bit while doing it. Kind of like being in a trance or meditating. But the man said what the man said. Once the belt started, I went along doing my job, scanning and placing packages in bags. Not much to say other than it was slow and boring, but I kept an eye on my watch. Sure enough, barely 10 minutes passed when one of the lane supervisors, Ambassador, entered my lane. Ambassador, hey, OP, me smiling. They need me up front, don't they? Ambassador also smiling. Yep, they just radioed it in. I'm here to take over until they get a replacement here. Me checking my watch. 5 minutes ahead of schedule too. Must be pretty bad. Ambassador, they've already had to pull Jackpot back to the front twice. Me, guess I'll go save the day. Jackpot was a term we used for any packages that reached the end of the belt without being sorted. They were put in a large container and wheeled back to the front to do the whole run of it again. I handed the scanner to her and quickly made my way to the split zone. It was absolute mayhem. I saw the poor replacement splitter and two managers, including Sam, trying to calm the monster that was this night's intake. Packages were falling from the belt. People were being buried to their knees, and Sam looked like his eyes were about to explode with how wide they had gotten. I took a deep breath and cracked my knuckles mid-stride as I moved to the front of the line. Me, I've got this. Get those packages picked up and put into a Jackpot. Sam, I'm going to need those racks back over here once it's cleared up. Other splitter, back up a bit and double-check my work. There was absolutely zero room for debate, as everyone had no choice but to listen to what I said as I began to split the belt like I was conducting 3 orchestras at once. That 10 minutes I was gone took me another 20 to get things running smoothly again. Needless to say, I was thanked for the rescue and told to stay there for the rest of the night, much to my pleasure. Sam also proceeded to ensure that I was designated splitter every night I was there to avoid further problems. They also started to include me in conversations on how to train new splitters for the nights I was out, and any advice to pass along from my own experiences. I guess it sometimes does pay to be so good at a job that no one can question you. Aside from a couple future stories I might tell some other time, there were still nights that they put me at other jobs. But it was usually slower nights. I would usually be called up if someone gave up or it got busy though, which I didn't mind too much. As long as we were clear that at the end of the night, that was my spot.